Hey everyone, Firesticks Dave here. Welcome to the pub crawl with Herve and Angry Phil. Fellows, we've been on a European-style extended vacation. Couple days have passed since we last recorded, but here we are. We made it back. One thing we're going to jump into, first of all, is our warm-up, and I'm going to tell you, just for our warm-up to get things going here. On my drive in today, I realized I have road rage. I cannot handle it when all four lanes are going the exact same speed, and it's extra pissy when the two in front of me have Wisconsin plates on them. They're just cruising on the express lane, just going there, taking their sweet time.
What time did you leave?
I took off probably around... Okay, I see where we're going with this. It was a really shitty time.
No, I was wondering, though, how long it took you.
I left at about 4:50.
And you got here at 6?
No, I got here way before 6. Yeah, so...
I get what you're saying, though, because being a truck driver...
25 minutes.
Yeah. You know, being a truck driver, it's a pain, especially when you got places to be and you know how long it should normally take. Yeah. I've learned to, since I've been driving for the last 10 years, to kind of just go with it.
You got to do some deep breathing or something?
Yeah.
Just chill the F out or what?
Just really can't do much about it.
Do what you can and don't worry about what you can't control. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, so what are we going to dive into first? What do you guys want to do, some basketball?
Yeah, let's do some basketball. NBA.
Well,
What do you want to talk about, Hervey? You can lead the way.
Well, we could talk about where teams stand now. We're basically at the halfway point. We're pretty much at the All-Star break almost.
Yep.
And I think it's getting pretty much a clear picture of what teams are going to be really the contenders, and you know, we can just pretty much assess where we think teams are right now, and maybe like a contenders versus pretenders type of thing.
Yeah.
You still have a couple teams hanging up there at the top that are a little unexpected, but
What do you think about? Let's talk about this team. They just fired their coach.
you know,
Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's a good place to start.
They're 30-13. First of all, I think it's really shady that Doc Rivers was advising them, and then he turns out to be the coach.
What do you mean he was advising them?
So apparently he was like advising Milwaukee of Griffin's performance.
He's like, hey, this guy isn't doing as well as you should deserve, and you should hire me.
That's what it feels like. I think he was advising
in the playbook.
I think he was analyzing how he was coaching, and like obviously Milwaukee's had trouble playing defense this year. They're playing in a lot of high-scoring games and can't seem to get it to stop, even though Giannis is one of the best defenders in the NBA.
Well, I will say that the firing did come as a surprise to me, because when they made the trade for Lillard, they should have known that giving up a player of Drew Holiday's defensive ability and the way he plays the game, and giving up a Grayson Allen, that your defense was going to take a step back. Mm-hmm. And then they knew that they were probably going to, for the foreseeable, future, early in the season, they were going to have to try and outscore teams. And then you would think that you would give them time to try to work on the defensive end.
Yeah.
But no, I guess they said that the move was based off urgency. They said they weren't getting the most out of their roster, the most out of Dame. I think Dame's numbers are down in terms of points per game. Obviously, he's not the main option anymore like he was in Portland, but he still shouldn't be, I guess, underperforming like they say he was. So Doc Rivers has been there, done that. He's won championships. He's won multiple playoff series. He's used to being in the playoffs. He's used to leading teams that are title contenders. So the hiring of him is not a surprise, but the firing was a surprise just because of what their record was.
Yeah. They're second in the Eastern Conference right now.
Yeah.
So I will say Dame hasn't looked like the same Dame in terms of efficiency, for sure. He's had some games where he blew up, but I think a lot of times his shooting percentage is down. I'm not sure who's the number one. I feel like Giannis is the number one option, but you got Middleton playing limited minutes, and now it's back to normal. It seems like he's playing 30 some odd minutes now.
Yeah, they worked Middleton back into it. He's back up to around 30 minutes a game.
So that means he's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right with Dame being the second option. It seemed like they've been kind of using him as Giannis is the guy, but fourth quarter, Dame, you're the go-to. Because you can control the ball, you can make the shots, you can get to the line.
The closer.
Yeah, you're the closer. But I think that's a very risky approach because you have to get into a rhythm when you're playing the game of basketball. You can't really just turn it on all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So we'll see what Doc does, and we'll see if it works out. If they got a guy who's been there, done that, and it's boom or bust with them. It's all or nothing. So
Yeah, for sure. Do you still see Boston as the runaway favor to win the Eastern Conference?
I don't see them as the favorite only because they don't have the top players even in the conference. You know, they have the better roster right now.
Top to bottom.
Yeah, top to bottom. But right now they have Jason Tatum, who's good, Jaylen Brown, who's very good.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday's a very good support player. Porzingis, if healthy, is a great stretch four. Big man who can shoot. But Milwaukee should be right there if they get their defensive side of the ball corrected. They still have Lillard and Giannis, who are two of the top 3, 2 of the top 5 players in the Eastern Conference. And then Philadelphia, even after that trade of James Harden, is a surprisingly very, very good team.
Yeah.
Embiid is putting up another amazing season. He leads the league in points per game. He's going to be right up there in the MVP discussion again, just like he's been the last couple years, scoring 70, a couple games ago. It was amazing. He's basically unstoppable. Tyrese Maxey's coming to a superstar. I hope he becomes an all-star this year. And then the supporting cast has done a lot with him. Hopefully they can make another move at the deadline. Heard some rumors that making a trade with the Bulls would be interesting for them.
And who would they go after?
Try to get DeRozan on an expiring contract, and then maybe even pair him with Caruso.
Okay.
And then you just give up whatever matching salaries and then whatever draft picks to make that work. And that would be because they do need a closer down the stretch. Tyrese Maxey's a good player, but he hasn't proven to be a closer. And then at playoff time, teams aren't going to let him beat him. They're going to double him. They're going to force the ball out of his hands. He's still going to get his. He's still going to be great. And you do need a closer. And they were saying that DeMar DeRozan would be a type of guy who, with his mid-range shooting ability, his clutch ability, and then Caruso on the defensive end, those are possibly 2 guys they may target. So Philly, I think, can be in the mix if they make the right move or two. I think Milwaukee's always going to be there, especially with Giannis and Dame. Boston right now, top to bottom. I think he's going to be very interesting. And people are still saying don't count on Miami. They just made a trade for Terry Rozier.
That was a great pickup. I love that pickup.
It was a very good pickup. He's playing great this year, especially for what they got for him. They basically traded him for a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Which is essentially nothing.
Where'd you get him from? Where was he at?
He was in Charlotte. Yeah.
So Charlotte's even worse than they were before?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and they got a pick, but Kyle Lowry wasn't doing anything. He's showing his age. He's not a productive player. He was coming off the bench, so they got an asset, but Charlotte didn't need him. He was a luxury at this point. They're not going to win it, so you try to pick up some assets, some picks, and then kind of go from there. Miami, can't discount them. They're going to be there again. And
who's your top 5 overall?
Overall in the NBA?
I didn't mean to step on your point about Miami. We'll get back to it, but top 5 overall. Top 5 teams. If you were to do power rankings, number 1's Boston?
I would say Denver.
Number 1?
Number 1 is Denver.
And are you saying that just because they've been there, done that?
Yeah, I feel like Denver they got the best starting 5. They got the best player in the NBA. And I think they'll figure out the bench at some point. That's what the regular season is there for. So I just can't see. Boston is the closest I can see maybe overtaking Denver. But anyone in the West, I know Oklahoma City's first in the West right now, I believe.
Yes, I believe so. You're right.
Yeah. Which is crazy, but I think they're just way too young. So it's their coming out party per se, but I don't feel comfortable putting Oklahoma City with a team that young to overtake any of the top teams yet. But they look like they're going to be very dangerous in a year. Probably next year, I think they could. Maybe even this year, they're going to make a statement in the playoffs.
Well, OKC is this year's Sacramento Kings, and then Sacramento, even though it was a pretty good series, they ended up losing to Golden State last year, and that was just, I think, the veterans, being on that stage before, and Sacramento kind of new to the party. And I can see OKC being similar to that. Right now they're tied with Minnesota, and then they're a half-game lead over Denver. So it all depends on where they fall in that. They want to stay as high as possible because they don't want to face the Clippers. They don't want to face the Suns. They don't even want to face probably Dallas or Sacramento.
All right, so we're going to unload Levine, and what else? What's the next move for the Bulls?
I mean, DeMar DeRozan, I would think is expendable. He's his age. He's on his last year of his deal.
Yeah,
we got to get something out of it, right?
Yeah. I think he's a number one player along with Vukovic, who will probably get us the most back because Vukovic just signed a 3-year extension, but he's still a double-double every night. DeMar is a type of player who can get you 15 to 20 on any given night. He can be a closer on a Devar team down the stretch, make big shots for you. And he's had some playoff experience. He went to the playoffs multiple times with Toronto. As of late, being in San Antonio and Chicago, not so much. But, he's just a very good player throughout the course of his career. He's a veteran. If the Bulls somehow stand packed, it just makes you wanna, it literally just like what's worse, being a Sox fan or being a Bulls fan at that point, because they've rolled back the same roster for 3 straight years, and they've literally done nothing to improve it.
Yeah.
Lonzo Ball, unfortunately, getting hurt and not really even playing any game during the course of his contract with the Bulls. Get it? Vukovic trade, didn't win that. Levine trade, can basically say that was a wash. Didn't really win that. The moves just haven't panned out, haven't worked out. So there's no reason why you should keep this team and then say, hey, let's try and be a play-in team. Be a play-in team for what? Just lose 4 games to 1?
Yeah.
Or 3 games to 1 or whatever it is, if it's best of 5 or best of 7 to, a legit team. It makes no sense.
I agree with you. And I was hoping kind of like when we were in that long stretch of losing games and they were just not watchable, it looked like we were going to be a high lottery team. And all of a sudden, Kobe White, Williams, Io, they're all getting playing time, and they look like a completely different team. But it still doesn't change the fact we're a few games under 500, and that needs to change because.
Well, it's not really going to change, Phil, because they are a older team, and we've talked about this many times before. Your 3 best players don't play defense, and you're older, you're injury plagued, and you're just mediocre.
All right, on that note, let's take a quick shot of optimism here and fire this up. So,
Salute.
Smooth.
What the hell? Nice. That's going to hit real nice.
Now we got it.
Yeah.
Now we got Philly. Philly's in now. All right.
That was hilarious.
All he needed was one shot.
One shot.
Only it wasn't the shot that he took. It was the shot that Herve took.
I was watching you the whole time. I was watching
the old give me a shot of water trick.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Give me a Lake Michigan on the rocks, hold the rocks. Yes.
All right. So how you guys been doing on the betting? Because I've been getting my dick kicked in. So.
Well, I'm right there with you on that.
Oh man, it's been awful. Just I can't hit anything.
Yeah, no.
I really can't.
I got a saying that I could be in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean in a boat, and if I fell out, I still wouldn't hit water. It's been one. It's been up and down. It's like anything, more down than anything. But it's just close. It's just frustrating when Vegas is so damn good. I like we talked about before, I like to do player props, and when you're missing parlays or even single bets by 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 points, whatever it may be, your guy gets a rebound, but then it's called a loose ball foul, or your guy makes a shot, but then they call a foul before he shoots it. It's like it's one of those things, but that's the game. It's all about wanting to be on the right side, when it's close, and sometimes you are, sometimes you aren't.
So Vegas is so damn good. I'm devising my new strategy. So I turn this thing around. The year's young, and I shouldn't be behind yet, but I am. So I guess it's Vegas is so good. Why don't I keep doing? I'm really thinking out loud here. Why don't I do the alternate line, the game lines, and then you do the alternate spread? And this is going to piss you two off with you ballsy dudes, but I take those conservative bets, minus 400s, and then I stack 3 or 4 of them up together.
To get even money or something, right?
To get even money, right?
I've done that when I started betting, when I got into that.
When I showed you my bet the other night, I had like six bets, and they were all minus 400 or beyond.
It's just so funny how that works, because when you do, I used to do that a lot. I was in the phase of doing that a lot, and I realized that if you stack it up, it just takes one to fuck up your night.
Yeah.
And it happens more so. I mean, it's ridiculous. It happens more so than you think. Like, just weird things happen all the time.
Memphis Grizzlies 2 nights ago. Yeah, I get it. I haven't forgiven them yet.
What happened with Memphis?
Herve, you had one that. Oh, what was it? The referees you wanted to talk about? You got a bunch of blown calls.
Missed calls. You were talking about that. Minnesota and
Oh yeah, there was one down the stretch. I believe it was the Minnesota Charlotte game the other night, where Minnesota got out to a big lead. They're up 18, I think, either late third, early fourth, and Charlotte came back. And I guess they said in the last 10 minutes, or excuse me, last 2 minutes, there were 10 missed calls by the referees.
That was broadcasted. They said that.
Yeah, because ESPN or NBA always does a
review
report.
Yeah.
On the end of the games.
Is that the NBA reporting that?
Yeah, it's the NBA reporting it. And then I guess Charlotte ended up coming back winning the game as a big underdog. Mm-hmm. And 6 of the calls that were missed favored Charlotte, 3 favored Minnesota, and then Karl Anthony Towns ended up scoring 62 that night. On a potential game-winning shot was fouled, but it was not called. And then when they reviewed it, they said it was a foul.
Oh my God!
So
did Charlotte end up winning?
Yeah, Charlotte ended up winning the game by 3.
So that's how you win, even though you lost a player. You traded away a better player. You downgraded your team. Still won, baby.
Yeah, it might have
still screwed a bunch of people like
that.
me.
That actually might have been Rozier's last game in a Charlotte uniform,
really?
actually.
Okay.
So, but yeah, no, it's just a thing that like. Referees have a hard job. The game's very fast. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. Most of the times it evens out. But it can be really, really difficult, whether it's gambling or just simply
it's more scrutinized with social media and
rooting for your team, whatever side it is, just simply wanting your team to win because they need a win for playoff purposes or stay in first place or bragging rights, whatever. When referees just struggle, it's tough.
Do you think the officiating's been bad the last couple years, recent years, opposed to like 10 years ago?
I think it's always been inconsistent.
Yeah.
I think just the way the game's played nowadays, because it is simply shoot a 3 or drive to the hoop and try and get fouled. So it's pretty much are we letting them play or are we being more ticky-tack and calling every little thing?
Yeah.
So and when you can call a lot early on and then as the game goes on the stretch you stop calling them, that's the frustrating part.
There's probably a lot more opportunities for people to call them out than, what'd you say, 20, 30 years ago. There's a lot more cameras on, a lot more access to people going through it and evaluating the game.
Well, gambling's also involved too, and the NBA sponsors. I think they're sponsored by FanDuel and stuff. But it's interesting that the NBA has this report and will bring it out to the media and call it their own product. Where I feel like the NFL only does it if it's absolutely very obvious something happened, because there's only one game, right? Especially during the playoffs, one call. It's going to be controversial for a long time, and people are going to be complaining. Where NBA right now during the regular season, so there's a lot of games going on, but. Yeah, I think a lot to do with the gambling and everything. A lot of people having a lot of money on the line, and if there's nothing worse when you're losing and you lost because the referee called a foul when it shouldn't have been a foul or something like that.
Yeah, no, but
every play matters.
yeah, no, but it all depends. And for every person who says they got screwed by this call, someone benefited.
Yeah.
So
that's very true.
You just gotta make sure. You just gotta hope you're on the right
man's
side.
trash is another man's trash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you just gotta hope you're on the right side of it sometimes, and it is difficult, but.
So to your point, Philly, though, it's people like me who are stacking up a whole bunch of minus 450 odds bets, and all it takes is one leg to collapse, and the rest is trash.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to remember, there's like, if you do 6 or 7 teams, they're all like minus 350 to minus 500. You still need 7 things to happen, right? And upsets happen all the time because I'm assuming like you're doing NBA or whatever regular season stuff.
Yeah. That was a great shot.
That was the most refreshing shot I ever had in my life.
Alpine. It's always better when I get a swimsuit model right over Phil's shoulder. It's a better gig. Other side. And then I'm not gonna lie, Anna Kournikova, I forgot how freaking amazing she was.
Yeah.
She was. She got more pub for her looks than definitely her play.
Yeah, and it definitely showed. She was not good. I thought she was promising at first. She was like pretty good, and then
Did you care?
not really.
Okay.
But I do like to watch tennis now.
I wonder why.
Well,
Is that after the
there's
Bears
a
season,
gambling,
or what?
there's a gambling aspect to it, but like I do like sometimes I do like if it's like a top matchup, I do like watching the games. I used to find it.
What's on right now?
really
Like
boring.
Australian Open or
Yeah,
something?
Australian Open, and like there's that Alcaraz guy who fucked me in the bet, by the way, like 2 years ago, or I don't even know, maybe it was a year ago. He was
Fucked
winning.
you in a bet.
Yeah, he was winning the.
It
he
really
was winning,
sounded like bed, and I just want to clarify.
Yeah,
that.
no, a bet.
Intimate.
I had him in the. I had a pretty sizable amount on him to win the game, and he was winning, and he looks like he was going to win, and then
Was it a Lincoln?
he
A Jefferson?
he definitely
Grant?
he cramped up, and whatever reason he cramped up, and he could have. I guess he could have. What did he call it when you just give up or something?
You retire.
Forfeit?
You retire.
Yeah, you retire.
And he did. He wouldn't do that. He would just finish the game and just let him win, which was. It was literally watching like, oh my God, this is so bad to watch because he couldn't do anything because of his cramped up leg and.
In the game of tennis, they call it retire when you forfeit.
You say you cannot go on because of injury or.
Yeah. So if he did retire, I would have got my money back, and he refused to, and he just was just getting destroyed. Couldn't move every time, and it was
like
against
me and Debo
Novak.
Samuel. Got it.
Yeah, Novak, Debo Samuel.
Yeah, you got
I
it.
want to. Oh, I had
Nice
him
game.
too. I had him too on Saturday in a small same game parlay. I was like, this is. So, I hate. That's why you can't do too much in football. Just because of.
DraftKings rewarded it back. DraftKings credited everyone with a $25 bonus bet. I think my original bet was $25, my parlay, and they gave me a $25 bonus bet back.
Really?
Yep, and it was the Debo Samuel bet.
Wow.
That's very nice of them. So.
Was it just Debo Samuel? I know
Yeah,
they
it was
didn't do
just
it. I don't think they did it for a parlay.
Yeah, it's just Debo Samuel.
Oh God. He was on his way to having a good game too. Definitely thought he would have scored a touchdown and it is over in receiving yards, and then he got hurt. And I don't know. Is he even going to play this Sunday? I don't think anyone knows right now, right? He hasn't practiced.
Well, we'll get into that when we get into our football conversation. But yeah, let's finish up basketball real quick though.
Way to reel us
Okay.
back in. Appreciate it.
Right now, we think we're at the point where we know who the top teams are in each conference.
Yes.
And I think we're gonna wait and see if the Bulls are sellers or not. See who are buyers, and then in a week or two, definitely, because the trade deadline's coming up.
Yeah.
We'll know who has a clear-cut look at it. But I'm very intrigued to see how the Clippers play the second half. The team we haven't talked about at all so far, who I'm really intrigued to see what they do in the second half, is Phoenix, because
yes,
they haven't
Phoenix.
really played much together. The
Are
big
they your
three.
sleeper?
I can definitely see them making a run if they can stay healthy. They're an older group with Booker, Beal, and Durant. But the last 10 to 15 games, I think they've been pretty much playing together, and they've been playing much better. They blew out the Mavericks the other night. So I'm very intrigued by them. I just want to wait and see how teams are going into the All-Star break and what moves are done and go from there.
Yeah. Kevin Durant's played phenomenal the last 4 or 5 games, I would say. I was watching that Mavericks game. It was yesterday. It was on ABC. He didn't have a big game. Booker actually came out of a slump. But they were down. I don't know, to start the game there. I think they were down like 8 to 12 points or whatever. They did not look good the first, I would say 18 minutes of the game, and then they came back.
I threw a
took
small
the
bet
lead.
on them just because I like the odds, and I wanted to. What I love about the Suns is that if you look at their players, they got a lot of that veteran makeup in the team.
Yes.
And those are the type of guys that pedal to the metal. They kick in the gas. Toward the end of the season, they make it to the playoffs, and those are going to be the guys that help drive them into the playoff. Make a good playoff run.
No, yeah, that end of the first half of that game was very good for them, and then they carried over into the second half.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Put
Demolished
Dallas,
them.
Yeah, put Dallas away. So I'm very intrigued by them. I'm very intrigued by what the Sixers do at the deadline, to see what moves they make. And then how does Milwaukee figure it out? What does Doc Rivers do to a team that's already good record-wise, but isn't playing to the potential of the roster? Who do they add, and how complete can they get?
Do you see anything that Doc Rivers can do to make the team better? Do you think defensively they would be better under his guidance?
Well, they have to be, because I know, I believe, I'm not sure if it was Kendrick Perkins or if it was someone a few weeks ago, just basically said Milwaukee on the defensive end, I'm just, throwing a few categories out there. They were bottom third in the league in charges taken.
Yeah.
They were bottom third league in hustle plays.
Wow.
They were bottom third in the league in contested shots.
Hustle plays as a stat.
Yeah, absolutely. 50-50
Yeah, you
balls.
surprised me there too. What?
Yeah.
How did they
50-50 balls,
Wow, they have a stat for that now?
Yeah, there's a stat for everything.
Deflections too.
Deflections, yeah, exactly. Bottom third league in deflections. So it's one of those things where they were just nowhere near. So
Thank you.
I think it's going to be a philosophy approach. We got to get to this. Probably get in some guys who are used to doing that dirty work, because you can't expect Giannis and Lillard to that night in, night out.
Yeah.
Brook Lopez is older. You need to get guys who get in and do that more so. They have a couple young guys who try to do it, but they're just not used to doing it. So Doc Rivers is just like what Tyronn Lue did with the Clippers. They've been around for 15 years, 20 years. They've been there, done that. Give them time. It's like, not comparing myself to these guys whatsoever, but when I coach and I maybe don't have a very talented group, or even if I do have a talented group and we're struggling, just listen to me. Let's just keep working. You put in the effort. You buy into what I'm teaching you. It's gonna perform. It may not be instant. I was saying, baseball is a process, just like life is a process. Basketball is a process. They play 82 games for a reason.
Yeah.
Football, when you play football, they're broken up into 4 quarters.
Yeah.
They break up the season into 4 quarters like they do a game. The first 4, the next 4. They were saying on the radio, they were talking about Bill Belichick after he was agreed to part ways. Anybody who says he knows what he has in his team in September is lying to you, because he has no idea what his team is in September. You really don't have an idea until October or November. So everything's a process. Give them time. I think Doc will be perfectly fine there.
I like that point, because Green Bay, after they beat the Bears in the opening game, they looked like they were going to be one of the worst teams. And they got hot.
And they should have beat San Francisco.
They should have won against San Francisco. They look like a completely different team. And, you can even go as far as to say with the Bears, too. They look like they're not going to win a game. and they picked up the guy Sweat from Washington, and the
you
defense
slip into
picked up
that?
on
How
that.
did you just ease right
I
into
did it.
it?
I was just talking about
it's a perfect segue.
I was just talking about the in-season growth, like how teams that start in September look completely different in October, November, like middle of October going into November. They can look completely different. And here's another one: the Eagles. They start off at
the opposite
10-1.
way.
Yeah,
the opposite
way.
Yeah. No, that's a perfect segue. So let's take 5 here, and then we'll get into some football. And
Before we take 5, let's do a shot.
Take
and
a real
lubricate
shot.
the vocal cords.
take a real shot.
All right, man.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, brothers.
Cheers.
You see about the guy from LSU? He made over 8,900 bets while in college, and he was betting on LSU games.
While he was playing too.
Yeah, he was their number 1 receiver.
Wait, who's that?
Butte?
Can we get him to call in?
Wait, did he get drafted?
Yeah, he's on the Patriots.
Done it.
Oh no, that's not good.